Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, everyone. So today we are going to discuss more about short story. But on this occasion and on this meeting, you are going to analyze a short story. Yeah. Okay, so before we start, let's open this discussion by reciting basmalah. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Okay, let's get started. Okay, guys, so there are two learning objectives as usual, yeah, for this meeting. The first one, you are expected to be able to conceptualize purpose, an example of appraisal for analyzing short story accurately, properly, and effectively through discovery learning. So, in analyzing a short story, there is a tool, yeah, there is a technique or method called appraisal. Appraisal is one of the branch, I think is one of the subtopic of systemic functional linguistic atau SFL ya. So we will discuss about it further about appraisal and how to use it to analyze or how to implement it to analyze such a short story. Okay, and then the second one, students are able to implement appraisal in analyzing a short story accurately, properly, if effectively, through task-based learning. So after you are able to conceptualize the purpose and example of appraisal, then you have to implement appraisal and use the appraisal itself to analyze a short story in accurate, proper, and effective manner through task-based learning. Okay, so enough talking. Let's move to the another slide. So guys, appraisal here, as you can see, appraisal is the area of discourse semantic aims to emphasize the meaning beyond the clause. Yeah, since appraisal is actually included to systemic functional linguistic or SFL, so this one or appraisal particularly can be used, to analyze a short story, as we can or as we know that a short story is a kind of creative writing. Yeah, it is such a text or prose that is mostly fictional, and they or it has a plot, setting, a characters developed, and also the characterization, within the story itself. So appraisal here is actually aims, yeah, or proposed to emphasize the meaning beyond the clause. So you can use appraisal to give atau to share, yeah, or to say your personal judgment, yeah, your personal thought toward written text. I could say, and then a prose maybe, or spoken one, yeah, maybe. For example, you already done watching a movie, and then you have to make, and you gonna be what is it gonna be evaluating, giving a comment or a feedback toward the movie after you done watching it, or maybe you done reading a book and then you have to make a feedback toward it. It's possible, it's actually possible. For example, Yuta, yeah, Yuta already done watching a movie, and in this occasion or in this issue or in this example or case, Yuta always make a judgment or evaluation toward the certain movie or several movie that is done watching by Yuta. Yeah, to watch by Yuta. Okay, so today's movie freak, yeah, or someone who into, yeah, movie already have an account called Letterbox. Yeah, Letterbox is a place for every movie freak to share their thought, their personal judgment, or their personal feedback toward a movie that they done watching or they have watched. So actually, in most of Letterbox, there are so many feedback. Yeah, there are so many review about a movie. So actually, in reviewing the movie, yeah, they would like to share their personal thought. Either the movie is good, either the movie was good, was bad. I mean, either the plot was so-so. I mean, average the plot, but the scoring for the sound, let's say, it's definitely amazing. I think there's are certain feedback that you can find on letterbox account, yeah, because that's the purpose, that's the place, yeah, to give a review about a certain or a movie. So that's why many letterboxers, yeah, atau boxers, yeah, letterboxer, I could say, who is huge fan of a movie will join or will sign up themselves for a letterbox account. So that's why this one appraisal is mostly done, yeah, without your consciousness, yeah. While you reviewing a certain movie, it means that you already make a judgment, make a review, as I said, make a evaluation toward the movie. So, in terms to make your judgment, in terms to make your evaluation and review toward certain movie, let's say, or particular books become or meaningful, yeah, it is necessary to use appraisal, yeah, or to implement appraisal itself. Okay. And next, appraisal is the evaluation of kinds attitude that are negotiated, yeah, in the text. How strong are the feeling that are involved and how the values are sourced to the readers. Appraisal divided into three subsystems, namely attitude, engagement, and graduation. Okay, so probably we are going to briefly discuss about this three subsystem of appraisal: attitude, engagement, and graduation. Okay, so the first type of subsystem of appraisal is called attitude. Attitude here is concerned with our feelings, in which the feelings is expressed, including emotional reaction, let's say judgment of behavior and evaluation of things. Yeah, attitude is itself divided into three regions of feeling: affect, judgment, and appreciation. Okay, so attitude here meaning that when you are reviewing something, or I could say when you are analyzing a short story, then your own feeling is expressed, including your emotional reaction, judgment, and behavior, and or evaluation of things. This one is related to the short story that you have done read. Nah. Okay. So attitude itself divided into three region: feelings, yeah, region of feeling, I mean affect, judgment, and appreciation. So affect, judgment, appreciation are mostly known for its relation to kind of attitude. Yeah. If you personally always make a review that express your what is it, affect, judgment, and appreciation, it can be called as attitude in appraisal. Okay, so in order to know it better and more, let's get started to the next slide. So the first one is attitude affect. Yeah, affect is the core of the attitude system, being either negative or positive, reflects the emotional responses and evaluation. Accordingly, affect is concerned with registering positive and negative feeling. Affect, yeah, deals with resources of constructing emotional reaction. For example, feeling of shock in relation to the events of 9 or 11 September, yeah, in which the twin buildings, I kind of forget about it. It must be a twin building or an economical building, I could say, that is being uh terrorized, or that is being attacked, yeah, that was being attacked, I mean, by the terrorists by using a passenger plan. Okay, these terrible events of the past week have left us with feelings in order of occurrence. of horror, worry, anger, and now just a general gloom. Morning 2001. Okay, so the bold word here actually reflect the affect or attitude affect. It can be seen that horror, worry, anger, and gloom are kinds of feelings. Yeah. Specifically negative feelings toward a specific event or particular event. Yeah. And then in relation to this topic in which analyzing a short story, you can express your feeling, either positive or negative feeling toward the story that you are going to analyze. So using a specific positive adjective or either negative adjective is possible. Okay. Next. And then the second one is attitude judgment. Judgment deals with attitude towards behavior which we admire or criticize, praise or condemned. Yeah. Likewise, judgment explains the values that indicates how the appraiser, by reference to certain social norms and convention or system of values, construct judgment toward human behavior or activities. Judgment is concerned with resources for assessing behavior according to various normative principles. For example, criticism of the Australian Prime Minister John Howard neoconservative government. Worse, this is a mean administration, a miserly minatory bunch if ever there was one. Carlton 2000, yeah, page 38. So judgment actually is kind of something that can be used to whenever we admire or criticize, praise, or condemn. Yeah. So judgment here is actually specific. Yeah, because it can be used to explain. Yeah, the to explain the admire, criticize, praise, or condemn. So it's actually kind of different from the affect. Yeah, that mostly use a feeling as the central of the focus. Meanwhile, judgment here is actually to admire, criticize, praise, or condemn. Okay, so you can see the example here. Yeah, this example, the bold word here are reflecting the judgment itself. Okay, so next move to the another one. Another example, yeah. Not example of the judgment, yeah, no example of further judgment, but also the example of the last attitude subsystem or type. Okay, so the last one is appreciation. Appreciation is thing oriented, involving the resources adopted to assess object, processes, and natural phenomena atau phenomena, ya betul, especially in aesthetic level. Sorry, aesthetic level meaning something that is positively positive. Aesthetic level meaning that is something positively positive. Appreciation, yeah, looks at resources for constructing the value of things, including natural phenomena and semiosis. Semiosis meaning as either product or process. For example, a fan review of a Steffi Ray Fawn, yeah, CD. I don't know how to spell it properly, but it sounds like, or it likely pronounced as Fawn, CD, yeah. And as a bonus, a very psychedelic, destructive literary, was it catastrophic? I could read this one properly because it it's been blocked by my own profile picture, blah blah blah, and liberatory version of Jimi Hendrix, yeah betul, third stone from the blah blah blah, Amazon.com online reviews. So you already learn or kind of familiar with a metaphor. Yeah. So appreciation here is related to kind of metaphor because the focus is the appraise, yeah. Admiration. Admire. Yeah. Okay. Admire in such a aesthetic level. So that's why the adjective word here actually kind of a metaphor in such aesthetic level that is positively positive, yeah, towards something that is being reviewed, for example, or towards something that is being analyzed or admired, for example, or something that is being admired betul, and something that is being analyzed. Okay, so that's it, the appreciation. Okay, the next one is appraisal engagement. After we briefly discuss about attitude, and then we have to move to the another subsystem of appraisal in which engagement. So in terms of its concept or conceptually, engagement deals with sourcing attitude and the play of voices around opinion in discourse. Engagement is concerned with the ways in which resources such as projection, modality, polarity, concession, and various comment, adverbials position the speaker or writer with respect to the value position being advanced and with respect to potential responses to that value position by quoting or reporting, acknowledging, a possibility, denying, countering, affirming, and so on. Okay, so actually, this one is actually related to the conceptual or concept matter or manner of engagement. So, engagement deals with sourcing attitude and the play of voices around opinion in discourse. I mean, in such a opinion, there is always an engagement, whether it could be engagement between the writer and the readers, or the readers and the writer itself. So actually, this kind of engagement always occurred or always occur in certain review, in certain result of analysis toward a prose or text, whether it can be either written or spoken one. Okay. So next. Okay, so this is the example, yeah, of engagement. The writer begins by affirming badly that what he says is true, not making this up. Uses a long chain of projection and quotation marks to carefully attribute the charge of terrorism. A passenger said he heard a man call himself, Bosnian terrorist. I mean, the bold word here is actually the verb, said, heard, and call, and then counters the expectation he set up by letting us in parenthetically on what in fact was said. Meanwhile, and we are not making this up, two Indians national on a flight from Singapore to Hong Kong were detained at Changi Airport after an American passenger said he heard one of the men calling himself a Bosnian terrorist. The man in fact said he was bass guitarist. Morning 2001. So it's still related to the 9/11 tragedy or event, that is related to the engagement, engagement between someone and other someone or other people, let's say. So this kind of example is related to the fact and the actual fact. So in terms of confirming something, we need to not making something up. I mean, we have to realize that our opinion must be based on fact. Even its opinion, it must be correlate with a fact. Because opinion is actually possible or is actually valid if it correlates with a fact. So as you can see on this example, it could be said that something is not related to the actual or existing fact, but actually there is still an engagement of the passenger, either passenger and also to the another passenger. Okay, so that is the example of engagement. Yeah. Okay, so this is actually the last example of appraisal, graduation. Graduation focuses on grading phenomena whereby feelings are amplified and categories blurred. Graduation is concerned with gradability, in which graduation has to do with adjusting the degree of evaluation, how strong or weak the feeling is. Graduation is called force as it provides, realizations that include investigation, comparative and superlative morphology, repetition, and various graphological and phonological features alongside the use of intensified lexes, lot for really dislike, and so on. So actually, appraisal graduation or the last subsystem of a appraisal, is actually a focus on grading phenomena whereby feelings are amplified, and categorized blurred. So actually, this one, graduation is actually to measure, whether your feeling is either strong or weak. So it's actually like a higher step of evaluating your own feelings, whether the feeling that you have described or the feeling that you have just shared to everyone, or the feeling that you have just expressed to everyone is strong or weak. yeah but actually it's called as a force as it provides realization, that include several things such as intensification, comparative and superlative morphology, repetition, and so on. So actually, it will make you more emphasize the way you feel towards something. So actually, this graduation is mostly done to measure or to further express how strong and how weak your feeling is. Okay. Next to the example. Okay, so this is the example of graduation. In general or generally, there seem to be more resources for turning the volume up than for turning it down. Raise, lower. So there are two different kind of thing, raise and lower, up and down, for example. Raise so touchy, infinitely more open, quite clinical, most dangerous. And for the lower one, a little upset someone, somewhat, upset, and the last or the least bit more information. In the context of non-gradable resources, graduation has the effect of adjusting the strength of boundaries between categories, constructing core and peripheral types of things. This system is called focus and is exemplified below. Sharpen and soften. Sharpen and soften are two kind of different thing, Sharpen and soften. Okay. Is a fully fledged award-winning gold plate monster all alone. Soften, a word spelled somewhat like terrorist about 6 years ago. Not the complementarity of force and focus in the following response of blah 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 by one of his exasperated victims. Okay. For singularly, extraordinary, incredibly, and daringly stupid. So this kind of graduation, the example of graduation here indicate certain emphasize or the positive or even negative or often the higher and lower one. So you have to make sure that your feelings, that you have expressed is must be emphasized, whether it's strong or not really strong or weak. Okay. Okay, everyone. So on this exercise, for your own exercise, you don't have to implement all the kinds of appraisal. You just have to focus on first type of appraisal, which is attitude, affect, judgment, and appreciation. So, on this occasion, we will be provided with an example of review taken from a specific, what is it? A specific website that mostly review games, Okay, so you have to analyze the judgment or the appreciation or the effect of certain text, yeah, or approach that you have discussed or that you are going to discuss. So you have to pay attention and listen to my instruction carefully. Okay, let's get started. So, guys, the story that you have discussed and you have read on the previous meeting is actually a Silent Hill, yeah. Silent Hill 2 story. This story is taken from a game called Silent Hill. So, Silent Hill 2 specifically describe a journey to confession in which a man that lost his wife due to illness. But actually, eventually, and after the truth was revealed, it was then further revealed that the wife that the man has been looking for so long, for days, I mean, for days maybe, it's definitely killed by himself. So actually, this kind of story, or this story specifically, is one of my favorite one. So you have to read a review specifically ya, particularly a review lah ya, a review lebih ke review ya, more likely a review of someone called Lee di Amato toward the story of Silent Hill. So you have to make yeah your own judgment and you have to indicate at least whether there is the affect, the judgment, or the appreciation that Lee, the Amato, or this writer written, yeah, toward the story about Silent Hill itself. Okay, so I will provide the, is it? I forgot. So I will provide the text, yeah, directly on your GCR enclosed along with this PPT and the exercise as well. And you have to indicate whether there are judgment, affect, or appreciation within a review written by Lee De Amato, I mean. Okay, so let's get started. Please listen to my instruction carefully. Okay, guys, so you have to indicate, yeah, you don't have to make your own judgment, but you have to only indicate whether within the text or the review that has been written by Lady Amato include affect, judgment, and appreciation within the review itself. So you have to make it or you have to indicate these three by yourself personally. Okay, don't forget to include your video in frame and also to include or to submit your PDF or Word file within this topic or this meeting for the exercise. Okay, if you have any question related to this one, please reach me directly through WhatsApp. It's better if you directly send your message on the group, yeah. So everyone could see it and we could discuss it all together. Okay, thank you so much. Best of luck, guys. Okay, let's close this meeting by reciting Hamdalah. Alhamdulillahirrahmanirrahim. Okay, thank you. Thank you so much, guys. See you around and see you next week. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.